We're going to make them pull them up. When you get there next week, I had a teacher ask me, I was getting a haircut. He said, Carl, you made her work harder. The news came out that we're going to pull them up. You made her work harder. He said, we get 40 minutes. We're going to spend 20 trying to get the dress code enforced. It's always been there. I said, What we're going to do is get them at the door. We're going to make the adjustment. So teachers, first hour, you be at your door. If they're outside the dress code, leave them in the hallway. When the bell rings, start a 40-minute session of power. Knowledge is, I'll get them out the hallway. We'll get them to the dean. Understand, the ones in the hallway are the few. The ones in the classroom are the majority. We are going to help you help us help them. Thank you, and God bless you.
How are you guys? I just appreciate you talking about remarkable, and I'm Erica Baird, and I'm here to speak about the United Way, but District 150's always been remarkable. I remember when I was moving back, I lived away from Peoria more than I lived in Peoria after I graduated from high school, so when I called back to see where I should move, they said you might want to move to Dunlap or you might want to move to Washington instead of Peoria because who knows what's going on with the school district. You know, the devil is a lie. I was one of them bad kids at District 150, and some of y'all was one of them bad kids at District 150, and it was a counselor and some of the United Way programs that turned my whole life around. When Carl talks about the projects, my mom's house sold for $12,000 in 2000, so you know the type of house I grew up in, and I did not see a way out, even with the school. And then Miss Timms enforced a dress code when there was no dress code because I dressed inappropriately. But she cared about me. If a teacher and I had a dispute because I was ignorant, Miss Timms locked me in her office and she changed the way I looked at life. And I knew one day when I grew up, I wanted to be just like her, a counselor at District 150. And it's the truth. You guys really do change lives. I remember that I went to the Urban League and I heard Eric Turner, Councilman Turner, talk about how he could work at Caterpillar. I never thought I could be anything but a janitor. And after hearing him speak, I went from straight F's to straight A's.
Well, I had no idea that I was going to be following those two acts. Absolutely impossible to do. And speaking of goal setting, I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but I want to be Carl when I grow up. I've been lifting weights. How am I doing? I'm absolutely thrilled that I've been asked to speak this morning. Thrilled because this is the biggest staff meeting I've ever been a part of. You look marvelous. It's just awesome. My staff probably not that thrilled, though, because they know what can happen sometimes when I get my hands on a microphone. I am actually more thrilled because I'm here to share with you how the United Way is making a very significant impact in 3 of our schools, in Garfield, in Tree-Win, and in Manual. We could use Erica as an example. We can use the students that Carl was talking about as examples, if in fact Erica was one of those kids. You know that we have those kids coming to our classrooms tomorrow. And Carl said that they are the few, but you know what? Those kids come tomorrow and they're going to have their backpacks on one shoulder, and many of them will be dragging behind them a large suitcase packed with the circumstances of their life. And we all know that, yes, they'll take out their pens and their pencils, but they will also unpack all that's in that big nasty suitcase, and all of those issues, social, emotional issues, are going to overflow out of that bag, and they are going to create situations in your classroom, and you all know this has happened to you, that make it impossible for you to teach. And though they are the few, as Carl mentioned, they take up the lion's share of our time, and so often it is that we spend more of our time being sociologists and psychologists than we do as teachers. And we absolutely have to try and turn that around if we're going to continue to make these absolutely remarkable gains that we have been doing. It was not unusual for me to have conferences with parents and with students, and it would become very clear in that conversation that their needs far extended past what we could provide. Their social, emotional needs, so extraordinary, it absolutely cried out for some type of counseling. And back in that day, the best I could do would be to hand them a sheet of paper that would have the social service names and phone numbers on there, and I'd say, here, you can call them. And then they would go off a little bit encouraged. But what I didn't share with them at the time was that, unfortunately, when they made that phone call, the news they would get was, well, thank you for your call. We'll put you on the waiting list. Well, I'm very happy and proud to tell you that through the generous funding of the United Way, we are beginning to turn that story around at Garfield and at Treewin and Manual. Beginning in 2006, the PACES program was born. PACES is a collaboration between the Peoria Public Schools and a number of social service agencies right here in Peoria. Counseling and Family Services, now known as Family Corps, Center for the Prevention of Abuse, the Children's Home, the Human Service Center, and the Mental Health Association of Central Illinois are all now partnering with us. And each of the schools, each of the 3 schools has in them staff members from those social service agencies conducting their business, providing their service. The PACES program predicated upon the full service community school model that has the services being brought to the customer, because so too often our customers and the baggage that they're dragging, it's just too hard for them to get to the service. And so now those agencies are in our buildings and they are providing that service. So now when I have that parent sitting in my office and they are calling out, crying out for some type of service, rather than handing them that sheet of paper and wishing them good luck, I'm able to take them by the hand and walk them to our PACES staff member, and their service begins right then. It is absolutely wonderfully illustrative of the United Way's goal of helping us all to live united, and it is a bright and shining example of what happens when we all lock our arms and march boldly forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lathan. Well, welcome everyone. I saw a lot of bright, smiling faces out there today, getting ready to anticipate the youngsters tomorrow. And I guess the only thing I'd like to say as a group collectively, I often, when I meet with teachers, say the comparison that I use is to the job that you do with your life is to take and formulate all of the best culture from Western society that's existed throughout the history of humankind and put it in the minds of youngsters and then send them out into the world to hopefully do a better job than we did. And it seems to me, Dr. Dolan here, who is a theologically based facilitator, he and I often argue theology, but I'll check with him later, but I think this is true, that when you go to the great school board in the sky, when our days are over here on this earth, I think we'll be greeted at those golden gates, and you will line up, and there'll be a long line, and some people will be in front of you, and they'll ask some of the Peoria crowd that'll be lined up in their line, and they'll say, and what did you do with your life? They said, well, I built great big yellow tractors that move dirt. And they'd say, wow, that's a very good thing. And it is a good thing. But when the teachers get to that gate, I think they say, what did you do? Well, I transferred the great knowledge of the Western world into the minds of the youngsters that go on to the next generation. And they'll say, well, come right in and go to the front of the class. And that's my wish to you. That's my thought, and that's how I embrace all of the good things that you do and the good things that you will anticipate that you will head up this year. So best of luck to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Lathan, for getting us off to a great start, and God bless you all. Thank you.
But you know what? It's going to be a great year. As a parent, I'm expecting great things to happen for my child and every child that approaches and comes through our front doors. I want to thank you again for allowing me to serve you and to serve our students. If you need anything, give us a call. Email, sometimes I am a little slow. I will be very honest because I have to respond to a lot of people. Please follow the chain of command. Start with your building level administrator or your building and grounds administrator or your cafeteria administrator. Start there first and then work your way up through the chain of command. I encourage you to do that. Give our board members a break this year. I'm here. I'll do my job. Call me first before you call them. All right? You know you do it. Go ahead. You know you do it. Don't be ashamed. I'm okay. I still love you. Remarkable rules. Number 1. Number 2. Lord, I might need to put all y'all back in the class next. Let's try it again. Number 1. Respect the customer. Number 2. Respect learning. Number 3. Respect our finances. And number 4. Respect individual differences. Once again, I thank you.
The theme of today's symposium is transforming public education. And the Secretary already talked a lot about some of the initiatives from the federal perspective. And I bring in the research perspective. I really want to engage from the mayor's perspective, from the city's perspective. Where do you see some of the potential, 1 or 2 key potentially innovative areas that you want to invest that might be able to create a condition for transforming public education in your city? So, Mayor Ardis.
Well, I think really out of necessity and out of the different cultures between the schools and the municipalities ourselves, we've been handcuffed for many years. We don't enter their space, they don't enter our space. So one of the first struggles that we see and that we've experienced over the last 4, 5, 6 years is the attempts at breaking down those silos and helping people understand that as mayors, there is nothing more important to our cities and nothing that is going to have a bigger impact on our ability to retain people in our cities than the quality of our schools. Nothing. So the challenges that we've taking baby steps on are the things that we could do outside of the actual direct influence on the school boards, which are improving quality of life issues in the neighborhoods, neighborhood impact zones, which we've instituted in the city of Peoria, programs like Peoria Promise to encourage and support our children, help the opportunity for all of them to get an education in college through, as Secretary Duncan stated, an outstanding community college that we have here in Central Illinois. Things that are all around the periphery of the school boards without actually forming that partnership, without actually establishing any type of structure to working together. So as we continue to grow together and establish a trust instead of a fear, that we're here to help, that we're here to help the school district grow and get better with input from, realistically, from the Secretary's office all the way down to our level. We don't, the small, medium-sized communities don't really have that solid link to the Secretary's office or to the higher authority that would allow us to have a quicker impact on our school system. So as we grow and as the mayors in the medium-sized cities come to the conclusion, as many mayors already have, that not only can we take more of an involvement, we have to take more involvement, especially for the urban parts of our city, to eliminate the exodus out of the cores of our city. Any type of those things that we can do to expedite these relationships will be helpful to us.